it's Smashley. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. And if it's your first time, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So I have this plant corner that's just offset of my dining room that I really want to refresh the wall decor on. I actually have a DIY wall decor piece that I made in one of our videos last year. So today we're going to be making this beautiful wicker yarn wall hanging to replace it. I picked up this placemat. This is what we're going to be using for the wicker part. I got it from Ikea. It was $5, and we will be cutting this in half to be making two wall hangings that will kind of be, they look like one cohesive piece at the end. You guys will see what I'm saying. If you guys have no idea what I'm saying when I say wicker yarn hanging or wall hanging, I will go ahead and insert some photos, some inspiration photos, of course, I found on Pinterest, so you guys can start to get an idea of the vibe. All right, so first things first, we want to go ahead and find the center so we can prep this to cut it in half. Now, I was having a little bit of trouble, but what I think I want to do is fold this in half as best as I can. And we're just going to push down on the side so I can get an idea of where to measure from. Kind of just give us a little bit of a marking. And then I have my ruler that we're going to be using, but essentially just to give us something to get a straight edge. So I have it from folded corner to folded corner. So, and then we're just going to take a pencil and draw a line across. All right, and then this is coming in at about 14.5 inches. So if I had to kind of pick the center, probably be 7.25. Once you found your center, what we're gonna do is just take some Mod Podge, and I'm gonna run it across that line that we just made. I'm a little bit nervous about cutting this and it fraying all over the place, so we're gonna set some of the Mod Podge on the line, let it dry, and hopefully that addresses any potential fraying that could happen. The center is what I'm kind of really worried about too, so I want to make sure we get good in here. And then the edging. All right, that looks pretty good. We're gonna set this aside to dry. Okay, so while that's drying, we're gonna go ahead and prep all of the yarn. Now, I bought a few different sizes, but I wanted to kind of keep with that same color scheme. I just wanted to add in, I don't know, different textures and sizes and things like that, and thicknesses of the yarn. So we'll go ahead and prep this so we can kind of get that piece out of the way. Now, if you guys have seen any of my other videos, whenever I do tassels or yarn work, I usually use like a random piece of cardboard. I happen to have this one saved from a previous project. So what I'm gonna do is wrap the yarn two ways. I want one of the wall hangings to be longer, and then I want the other one to be shorter. So we're gonna use this on both edges and both sides. So super easy. We'll start on the long side first, and then realistically, we're just gonna go to town wrapping this. All right, so we have the entire skein of yarn on here. We have the edging here. We're just gonna go ahead and cut this. And then where you taped the bottom, you're just gonna cut along the edge. And now you have a whole bunch of strands, and it wasn't that much work to do. So I'm gonna drape these over a chair just so we don't lose all of the nice little strands that we just made, and then we can move on to the next skein. Number 2. Okay, so we are all dry along that seam, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut this in half. Not too bad. Got a little frayage, but I like them. Cute. Perfect. All right, and then obviously where we did the Mod Podge is definitely gonna be the back of these. Next up, we're actually gonna use this as a measure. I wanted to do like a felt background on them. So just to give it something like, to give the yarn a little bit something more stable to actually glue to. We're gonna be using hot glue gun, by the way. So what I wanna do is kind of measure out a couple pieces for us to stick on here. Okay, and then we just need one bitty piece here. Right. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is gonna be the back of the piece, so close enough is good enough. So these are both ready to glue. All right, so we have our glue gun. We're just gonna go ahead and glue the back of the felt to line the placemat. We don't want it peeking from the bottom, so we want to give it just a little bit of a margin. There we go. And then you can't even see it from the front. Before we go ahead and put the yarn on the back of the wicker piece, I was trying to think of an easy, innovative way to do it. So I have some Scotch tape. I'm gonna measure out about 15 inches for the diameter of it, and we're actually gonna be attaching the yarn pieces to this Scotch tape and then transferring it over with some hot glue later. So this is gonna help us keep a nice straight line. I'm trying to maximize the length in the strings that I cut. So this is a pretty great way to do that. So I'm gonna start with the thinnest yarn that I have, and I'm just gonna lie that foundation down. I will say too, we're gonna do 2 strips of these and layer them on top of each other so that we can get the full look that we're looking for with these. So when putting these on the strip, you want to get them as close together as possible, so I'm really squeezing them. So try not to leave any room in between the individual strands or the other strands of yarn either. All right, so we have kind of our first layer down of the thinner pieces. Now I'm going to start building up that texture, and we're going to move on to this one. All right, now layering our next piece of yarn. So it's about the same thickness, but a little bit of variation of color here. So I'm gonna add these in between. All right, so we have our first strip pretty much done. We're gonna go ahead and set this to the side. So it moves nice and easy, and it's gonna really help us keep a straight line once we go to transfer it to the wicker placemat. For this next strip, this one's gonna be the one that's in front. So the last one we just did is gonna be the back layer, and then this is gonna be the front layer. So for the front layer, I picked the thickest yarn, and this is what we're gonna kind of wanna speckle in there. This is super thick. All right, so we have our first layer that we have attached to the Scotch tape. What is this called?
Masking tape.
Masking tape. So we have our first piece that is attached to the masking tape, so we're gonna go ahead. And what I would like to do is kind of just flip it upside down almost. I wanna try and get it as close to the edge as possible so I can get the most out of the length. And the top part that we left without any yarn, that's gonna stick to the felt. So now we can kind of just peel it back this way. And it's gonna make the hot glue application a lot easier, hopefully. Okay, so it should look something like that. We have our hot glue. I'm just gonna go to town. Start folding as we go before that glue dries. This is also a little bit safer. You could totally just glue the strands directly to the wicker piece, but A, would be a little uneven just because of the bumpiness of the wicker, and B, I try to keep as much of my fingertips as possible when it comes to hot glue, so anytime I can come up with an easy way to avoid sticking my finger in literal hot glue, then I try to do that. So I'll flip it this way. And let's see how we're doing. So you want to use one hand to hold down the yarn, and then the other hand, you're going to kind of almost rip this up like it was a wax strip. So, but be gentle.
No, Kelly Clarkson!
Some pieces might come up, and if that's the case, just slow down, stick those back down, and then keep going. All right, so that's on there pretty secure. So we're starting to get the look that we want. Now for the second layer, this was the thinner layer. We're gonna kind of do that same thing. And then this one's just gonna be just above the last one, trying to get the most out of the length and avoid it from being too hunky-dunky. And then same situation, you're gonna do your strip of glue. We're gonna go ahead and flip. You can already start to see how much fuller this is going to look. And I just don't think, based on like the thickness of the strands, I would have been able to get this full look with just doing one strip of the yarn. So I like this two-step process a lot. And then just grab edge of your masking tape. And then we're gonna wax strip this away. Add a little bit more glue here, not like that. Keep it moving. Here is how she's looking. I'm loving it already. All right. The last thing that we need to do is just create a little hook on the back. So I just grabbed a little yarn needle, little piece of yarn. I found the center-ish, so I'm just gonna make a little loop for us to be able to hook onto a nail on the wall. I'm trying my best to hide it behind it. I don't want the yarn to show on the front. See. There we go. So now we have a little hook to hang it on the wall. Well, you guys, let me know in the comment section how you think they turned out. I'm honestly loving the little refresh that we did in this corner. I might need to go to the store and get a few more plants to kind of build it out. We'll see what else I add to it. As always, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.